Community leaders in Tennant Creek are calling for longer-term liquor restrictions to try to reduce alcohol-fuelled violence. Restrictions on takeaway sales have been imposed for 2 weeks as part of the Territory Government's response to the alleged rape of a 2-year-old girl. Our reporter Jane Bardon is in Tennant Creek. Jane, what's been the reaction to the government's plan so far to deal with grog violence in the town?
Well, Eleni, there's been strong community calls today for much longer term and much better funded responses to alcohol-fuelled violence here. Alcohol restrictions that have been put in and extra resources for child protection services haven't been considered to be enough. The Tennant Creek community made their International Women's Day march a rejection of family violence and a call to extend temporary liquor restrictions, which many feel are reducing problems for at least another 6 months.
I've seen a lot of improvement. I don't see drunken people walking in the street first thing in the morning, mothers pushing pram with the small babies.
The restrictions have reduced the police workload.
Just speaking to my officers, they've advised how much better the town feels. The general public are advising them on how much better the town feels.
But the liquor industry is pushing back against any extension of the restrictions.
We're obviously suffering as a result of the current restrictions, and it's for the sake of the few that committed those hurtful acts to the community.
Reeling from the alleged sexual assault of a 2-year-old and a spate of youth suicides, the community is also calling on the Northern Territory and federal governments to add to the current 6-week commitment of extra child protection resources.
This is short-term measures. What we need is a sustainable, long-term approach, a whole-of-government approach and a whole-of-community approach.
Indigenous organisations running youth programs have felt helpless to stop the slide into violence.
It breaks my heart to actually see families just worrying about alcohol than worrying about their kids.
And the local council's youth programs are also desperate for more long-term support.
The nature of politics is that we often get a whole lot of short-term things and they chop and change, and that isolates the people that we need engaged.
Young people are pleading for change.
From fighting and walking around town and breaking and yeah.
The federal government is dodging calls for more Indigenous housing money.
I do actually understand the circumstance, and yes, overcrowding is an issue, but it's not an issue anywhere near on the scale of importance next to the alcohol.
Community leaders hope to find homegrown solutions, which governments will be willing to fund.
And Jane, a town meeting is being held there tonight to come up with solutions to better tackle alcohol-fuelled violence. What has the meeting heard so far?
Well, tonight we've heard from medical professionals from the Tennant Creek Hospital calling for a complete 5-year moratorium on alcohol, staff who've had to deal with suicides, pregnant mothers who are drunk and all kinds of injuries. We've also heard from business people who are supporting grog restrictions being carried on in this town, saying that their businesses have become completely untenable because of drunk people hassling tourists, etc. We've also heard for a lot more welfare measures as well. Things even like soup kitchens for young people roaming the streets at night, more houses for people in this community, and also looking at safe places for young people to go and sleep if it's not safe at home. So a whole load of solutions being proposed by the community. We've also heard from the police as well, saying really they need to hear about all these alcohol related problems, because if they don't have the statistics they can't ask for more officers, and that's a key thing that they're going to need to tackle this in this town. Eleni.
Thank you, Jane.